And as we go into caster mode here, Beastyqt in the yellow. Has a very good Mongol spawn here. Has some gold right here and some wood. Going to be able to get some sheep as well. And spawning in the southwest. Playing as the purple is Chrysaor. Also with a good spawn. Got some gold. Got some wood right there. Pretty good spawns out of both players. Although it looks like Beasty's Uvu rather far out there. Chrysaor's Uvu not taking this stone, going for this stone instead. So both Uvus a little out there, both raidable targets out of both players. As we progress through the Dark Age. Obviously both these players getting their wood. And I'm curious to see if any of them go into any kind of Dark Age aggression. Usually for the Mongols, when you're up against another Mongol player, sometimes it's rather easy to get any kind of Dark Age aggression. And it looks like as this villager goes outward, we'll actually see a pasture from Chrysaor instead. Beasty going with the more aggressive attitude and going for a barracks as we see that waypoint. A little bit out there. Good job by the sheep collecting. Beastyqt doing a good job of that, and I do see this Gur out in no man's land doing a little good APM action. Look at all the sheep that he found here, able to unpack that Gur, get those sheep, bring them back home, adds a second scout, but on wheels. Grabs a couple sheep by doing that. Beasty obviously has a ton of APM, and will be able to do that with the Gur. And it looks like Chrysaor also doing that. A good sheep out of both of these players. Now, because of what map they're on, there are a higher amount of sheep on this map compared to others, so that Gur is getting some of these. That extra 3 sheep is going to help. I mean, that's an extra 750 sheep he wouldn't have otherwise. And it looks like with this barracks, he does make 2 experiment, but it looks like he's only going for 1 currently. And going to be able to get another 2x as we see it just queued up now that he has the food for it. This villager getting escorted. And now if you're looking at this Mongol spawn out of purple, obviously he went for the pasture. Is going to go for the sheep. Let's see where Beastyqt goes here. As Mongol is probably one of the best, if not the best, Civ that he plays. So much fun to watch when he plays Mongols. And this pasture has to get out of harm's way right now, because those sheep will get picked up by the Khan if they sit there. That pasture moving like that will be able to get swiped down. And it looks like first tower coming into play for Beastyqt. Rather safe around this wood pile here, going to make sure he can't go too far into this wood. And I think tower rushing the wood, especially on this map, is able to torch down this Uvu with the spearman, because Chrysaor didn't make any kind of military production building, doesn't have the wood and able to do that. He was thinking about going up to feudal age as soon as possible. Beastyqt putting the kibosh on that. I'm going to be able to torch this Uvu down rather unscathed because there's no barracks from Chrysaor. It seems like if you don't go any kind of Dark Age aggression, it's going to be challenging. And he actually goes for the silver tree with 6 villagers on it. Outpost going up for BC, not anywhere near feudal age yet, just because getting that outpost, getting that spearman. But he's also going to wrap his villager around, as you see these waypoints, all the way around. Going to get this outpost, going to make sure if that Uvu does go down, and it will, that another Uvu doesn't come out in place of this. This is a rather large stone cropping, only got a couple hundred out of it, as we see 312. Going to make sure he can't get another one out. Knows that this stone outcropping is down south, and that Khan, as it goes down south, will scout that stone outcropping as the second place to put an Uvu. But this aggression really paying off for Beasty right now. Going to be able to see what's going on. from Chrysaor going to be able to scout out that he does have the Silver Tree. And I'll be honest with you, this Silver Tree is a ballsy move. I see a lot of Silver Trees in Feudal Age after a Dark Age Tower Rush because they have the map control. So the Silver Tree is able to make traders out of it afterward. But now he doesn't have much in the way of map control. Has outposts going on this side, so he's not going to be able to get a trader to go in that particular area. And then going all the way out here is obviously an impossibility. So I think this Silver Tree is going to make traders. I don't know how well it's actually going to be at protecting those traders, as the first military production building comes out for Chrysaor in the way of an archery range, which is good. You're going to get archers. Can't make outposts in this area, though. An outpost is already out. And it looks like this trader is migrating south, but I'm not really sure where it's going. I don't see any market blueprints out here either, which would make a lot of sense. You go to the Silver Tree, you get a market out there. And then you start going, but I don't see any market in it. It looks like Beastyqt is getting the upper hand and outposting these areas that Chrysaor wants to outpost, but he's not going to be able to, as the first archer does hit the battlefield for Chrysaor. Will be able to protect himself against some of those spearmen, make sure these villagers get some safe wood, because as far as wood lines go on this map, rather scarce. And this is the only wood line that's going to be safe for Chrysaor right now. On the backside, Beastyqt did go with deer stones. Going to be able to get that yam network, those villagers moving very quickly. This villager running for its life. Yeah, this trader just kind of went out into no man's land. Not really sure why it was over there. But hopefully it will find a trading post at some point. Got to take this tower down, though, if he wants to do that. And that's the thing about the Silver Tree, that people, the reason why people don't build, it just takes so long in order to pay off. And now that there's an outpost here, now that a lot of this trade has been neutralized, this route anyway, it would be rather difficult for the Silver Tree to even pay off, whereas these deer stones, it's going to pay off rather immediately. And because of how much Beastyqt has on gold, we got about 6 villagers on gold right now. He's devouring a lot of these sheep. More sheep coming through, some of them stolen by that initial pasture by Chrysaor. So gonna have 6 sheep here. A little farther gathering, but that's okay. It just makes it worth it in the end. It's not about the destination, it's about the friends you make along the way. And that tower is being a rather pain in the side of Chrysaor. This wood line only getting half cut just because of this tower. Gold is safe. Still has a lot of sheep, so he's able to get food and gold that's safe. Going to be able to go up to castle, and will go up a little bit more quickly than Beastyqt, just because Chrysaor only made a couple archers, probably about 6 or 7-ish. Beastyqt going into horsemen. Moving some feudal age horsemen, and obviously if we take a look back at the stable, these horsemen, even though they're making 2x, they are 100 food. So they take a while in the way of food. What's very interesting, though, is we look at the food counts as Castle Age starts to draw near for both players, is that the food is relatively comparable. I do see a little bit of skirmish, some horsemen coming in, and a reflexive barracks put down by Chrysaor. Good production building choice. But one villager is going to go down in the making of that barracks. That makes the second kill for Beastyqt. Just trying to get some horsemen together, make sure the archers don't get out of line. Going to raid this wood line because that's really the only wood line they have. And decides to make another stable. Cancels the barracks because he thought about spearmen, but because of how close he is to Castle Age, he's going to be able to get some Castle Age knights out to protect against these spearmen. Thought about taking this tower down, ends up going the other way. And now he does see the Khan. This Beastyqt Khan seeing the step readout. And it looks like we have a little counter raid coming in from Chrysaor out of the north. Good pull with those berry villagers. Step readout coming in for Beastyqt as well. He will be just that much quicker. But just that much quicker makes all the difference in a lot of these Mongol mirrors, because they're going to be the first to pump these 2x Lancers out. And remember, before, with this Uvu going down, no repeat Uvu I have seen. So it means that Beasty is going to be able to keep producing the 2x, as we can see here with these Lancers, and getting half off all of his military. So not only he gets step readout up a little bit quicker, going to be able to queue Knights pretty much immediately, which is exactly what he does, and has the 240 stone to get 2x, and will be able to, in the future, as Chrysaor will not. He does not have an Uvu to get that production. He's got to make them one at a time. And this tower being able to take down some villagers as well. Spearmen still hanging out in there, and these Spearmen are actually going to prove to be pretty beneficial in some of the battles going forward, as we're going to see, because we're seeing Knights out of both players. So the fact that Knights are going to come out, those little bit of Spearmen that Beasty already has, doesn't have the Castle Age upgrade yet, but just based on Knight count, and I know we're talking about these really small numbers, 3 Knights, 2 Knights, but the fact that one of these were free is going to help an economy. And when you're talking about a mirror, it's these little minutiae that make the difference. It's little minutiae that Beasty is very good at with a lot of these Mongol mirrors, and when he does play Mongols in general. As these Lancers looking for villagers to kill, he knows that the wood line is here. Chrysaor having a prayer tent. I don't know how many shamans are going to save you at that point with those Lancers breathing down your neck. Beasty going for a prayer tent as well, and will be scooping up relics. So it will be a little bit of a relic war, and these Castle Age Lancers going to try to get a little bit of map control in. That outpost still there. And one brave-ass Lancer going to come in, take shots at some of these villagers. These villagers do have textiles, however. And a lot of the times, just because of this outpost, if it was striking a particular unit, he has no idea that this Lancer is even here. He's so focused about microing this battle, hasn't even looked, and look at the villagers going down right now. This one Lancer that was probably free will be able to take down a lot of these villagers, and we'll go back up there in just a little bit, but these Lancers going in now, he does see it. So many villagers went down, and there's, this is the worst time when you're Chrysaor, because, like, you know the feeling he's going to get when he sees this, for how many villagers end up going down. Knight count at 7 to 6 in favor of Beasty. The difference, however, is the fact that Beasty is queuing Spearmen at the same time and has the resources to do it, while Chrysaor does not. And Chrysaor's going to have to back up with the army that he has, composed of just cavalry, essentially. Looking at economy count, worker kills 9 to 1 in favor of Beasty. In favor of economy count, also in favor of Beasty, 44 to 33, and he has had substantially less idle time than Chrysaor. As we take a look here, only 1 pasture from Beasty as the multiple for Chrysaor. Obviously, that's a lot of wood that he needed to use for that. Wood he could be spending doing something else. And look at that, these 4 Spearmen making the difference. To the point where the game gets called. Even we foreshadowed that a little bit. Maybe about 4 or 5 minutes ago. We saw on that front outpost that there were 5 Spearmen in, as you just see on the right side of your screen before the match complete screen ended. The 5 Spearmen that were there in that tower, the 4 Spearmen that were there on that left tower. Now that the Lancers went over, tried to take down that tower, trying to get that silver tree going, which he never did. But those 4 Spearmen jumped out. They were able to take down some of those Lancers. And if there was any fight that was going to happen, his Lancer numbers would have been dwindled. That tower was still up. There was no way Chrysaor could have done anything for this game. And we look at the economy count. A lot of this are some dead villagers. Yes. You could attribute some of it to the Yam network as well. The fact that Chrysaor did not and Beasty did. those villagers moving just that much quicker. It's like having a little bit of, it's having like another wheel in your wheelbarrow, so to speak. Beastyqt playing as the yellow Delhi Sultanate in the north. Chrysaor as the English playing in the south, and some interesting developments out of the English stronghold right now. We got a barracks coming out in Dark Age, going to go for some Vanguard men-at-arms. And this is something I've recently started to play Delhi a lot. Playing against English, I always thought when I first started playing Delhi was a free win. You're able to just ramp up better just because of efficient production. And you would always win feudal age battles because they never had enough units. Compared to yours, you were able to snowball into castle, and that's how you take the game. Now that in Dark Age we have these Vanguard men-at-arms coming out to the point where feudal age sometimes doesn't happen until very delayed, is going to make it difficult. But look at what Beastyqt does here, and this is something that I'm personally learning from Beastyqt casting and watching this. So this is very exciting to me. Takes his gold villagers and pulls them, or takes his food villagers, excuse me, and pulls them to get this gold to 200 before these Vanguard men-at-arms come out, because look, quite sluggish at 1.12 tiles a second. These villagers will be able to get to 200 gold, and then what do? As soon as they get 200 gold, they'll just book it out of there. They'll get to their feudal age landmark gold requirement, and that'll be just about it for them. They'll be able to get the food that they need. Their berries are a little far away, but the town center should be able to shield them. If he does want to go for the sheep instead, obviously he can. Only one scout coming out of either player, so it looks like as far as sheep, we got an extra 6 coming up here. But because he has 5 on gold, as the first Vanguard men-at-arms rears its ugly head, well, I shouldn't say ugly head. I don't know what he looks like. He might have a family. This gold is going to end up getting collected. He micros each villager to get there with only 1, so he'll be able to drop off, just go back to sheep. This one's going to be the exact same way. Might be a little... oh man, making me lose my breath over here, Beasty, with a 2 health villager. What's nice is having a scholar. Gonna end up healing those up at some point. Exactly what he does. He has 343 gold. Now, the benefit of that, as a little town center fire hits that men-at-arms, the benefit of that is he does have the 200 to go up, depending on what landmark he chooses. But as he goes into feudal age, he'll have enough to make a couple scholars. If he goes Dome of the Faith, we'll be able to at least make 1 scholar. And having 2 scholars in a battle, obviously doubly as good compared to the first. So now for him, it's just a food game to go up to feudal. And as far as the delay that Chrysaor did because of this, not really that much. Goes with Dome of the Faith with 5 villagers that are very safe. And as we look back on the English base, has 4 on a gold right now, trying to get that 200 gold to go up to feudal. So he's going to be pretty delayed, similar to a 2-2-2-ish kind of build for English in terms of feudal timing. And we'll be ending up going up with the Council Hall, I would imagine. Now these Vanguard men-at-arms found a cheeky little target in this mosque. This mosque rather invaluable to the Delhi Sultanate, because in feudal age, if you can't get sanctity as the Delhi Sultanate, what are you even doing? You need to get those sacred sites. You need to get that gold per minute, and if you're not, this is going to be a rough for you. This is going to be a rough time. The Council Hall does go up on the English side of things on the south with 4 villagers. Building that Council Hall going to be a little late compared to that Dome of the Faith. With that 143 gold that we saw before, we'll be able to put a scholar in that mosque as well. Doing a good job in terms of macro with wood. He's got about 9 on wood, so by the time this Dome of the Faith does get completed, he'll be able to put down his first production building. And this will go up just a tad before the 5-minute mark. Does a good job. Those villagers will move to something else. And the first building that he makes is a stable. Because when it comes to men-at-arms, Vanguard or early, the Delhi have a little bit of trouble dealing with some of those. Their archers aren't going to be as great, obviously. Their spearmen aren't going to work as well just because men-at-arms is a good counter against spearmen. And horsemen are kind of your best of a bad situation. Almost with the horsemen. They do have a decent amount of health. They do have a decent amount of attack. Does put his scholar, takes it out of the mosque. Sanctity could wait a little bit. Going to be able to efficiently produce out of this stable. Horseman every 11 seconds. First horseman hitting the battlefield, wasting no time. Diving into those Vanguard men-at-arms, taking a good hit. Now, because of how much health these horsemen have, the fact that they have no melee armor, these Vanguard men-at-arms actually put up a good fight, 2-1. 2-2 might be a little bit of a different story, but good micro. That one horseman does leave with 13 health, and this is a civilization that really rewards you for having good micro, because he's going to have this battle. He's going to pull this horseman out just like that at 25 health. And then what's going to happen, these scholars are going to come out, going to be able to heal these units back up, and you basically get a free unit. And this horseman with 13 health, this one with 25, Vanguard men-at-arms just get cleaned up. Chrysaor on the English side of things, I know I was hovering over Beastyqt's base a lot, but a lot was going on. On the English side of things, we do have early men-at-arms as an upgrade, as you can see. The amount of hit points goes up by 20, damage by 2. So they're rather a little bit more formidable. And them going up against horsemen, a 1v1. I'm taking the early men-at-arms, that's for sure, just because of how much melee armor it has. And just like I said before, these Scholar going to be able to heal those whenever it feels like it. And hopefully it will soon, because those horsemen seem to be rather damaged. These horsemen coming in the back. Just trying to make sure these longbowmen don't get massed enough. But as we see going into Feudal Age, this Scholar popped out, try to get a heal, get a couple free units out of it. Going to be able to bypass this men-at-arms entirely just because it's only one. Stirrups happening way too late, because now that they already had the surround on some of those longbowmen, but they do get caught. It's almost like a booby trap of sorts. One horseman gets pulled, two horsemen get pulled. Look at this. At 11 and 21 health, this is insanity. I would be pulling my hair out if I was Chrysaor. These longbowmen have been reduced in number, very much so. All of these horsemen back home are at full health. And this is really how you start. Everybody should be taking notes. This is really how you start a Delhi snowball. And at the 8-minute mark, which isn't too late, we just saw Sanctity pop. And his gold mine is stable. Up north. 3 scholars coming in, 1 in the queue. He's got 4 now. These buildings not efficiently producing. Don't really need to right now. Military count's somewhat similar. Looks like he's got walls around the sacred site blueprinted. That'll probably be the easiest sacred site for him. Looks like this scholar trying to matriculate west, trying to get that westernmost sacred site. That middle is probably going to be the most contested. But now that all of Chrysaor's army is here, Beasty knows that. Scholar right here going to get this sacred site, going to get the wall rather unscathed. Not a lot of men-at-arms out of our English opponent here. And just because there aren't that many, you're going to be able to heal through it. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Does add some archers in here as well, because he's assuming that Chrysaor is going to go into some kind of spearman just because of the horsemen that are there, and the archers would help. But look at this, even just one scholar against the men-at-arms, just being able to heal that speaks wonders, and that's not something English can do. So now that he's picking off these small units one by one, he had 2 horsemen over here, 3 horsemen over here, picking off longbowmen. There's a couple dead here. We just saw up here, there was a couple dead over here. And you can't get English, going when you're doing that. Military count now 25-10 in favor of Beastyqt. Now he's got some scholars, pulls these horsemen out again, Scholar being able to heal. Stirrups coming out just a little bit too late. By the time they pop, they do actually get a brace off Stirrups, making those horsemen retreat with that little bit of health that they had. Now, these archers all the way in the back of your mind as the Delhi player, Blacksmith, getting these upgrades. He's getting Bloomery, +1 melee damage. I'm usually a French player. I've never seen this tech before because I get it for free. And these horsemen, and these horsemen rather damaged. Now with all of these scholars here, this is a Delhi mass. This is a Delhi mass, especially at the 10-minute mark of the game. Already has a sacred site here in the process. Has a sacred site here that's already captured. Going to get these walls up. And I don't think I noticed any scholars going down from Beastyqt. Think about if he'd lost some of these horsemen and some of the micro battles that he had instead of pulling them. Much less formidable, right? It's only 3 or 4 horsemen that he probably saved and ended up getting healed. I think there's one of them that got healed twice. Rather tilting, and now that he has a big mass of them, he's got 9 instead of a typical maybe 4 or 5 that he can get. Has enough archers, has the upgrades on them also that they do damage to those men-at-arms, because he does not have the ranged damage, or the ranged armor upgrade, excuse me. So those men-at-arms actually getting picked off rather effectively. No spearmen at a Chrysaor. These men-at-arms are so slow. All these horsemen do is just run past them, and he has a couple taking down some longbowmen. Tower coming up with some increased speed. Doesn't really matter, just because of the fact that he is up against horsemen. And with all of these archers that he has, actually doing a decent amount of damage against these men-at-arms. Having the scholar here is really going to help curb some of these archer casualties as they try to chase down these longbowmen. Military count 37 to 11 right now. And we're watching how well, I'm going to use another snowball analogy, how well Beasty was able to pack the snow to make a good snowball. And now with a couple sacred sites that he has, and starting to be a third, we're going to see a Delhi avalanche very soon. All 3 sacred sites. If you let Delhi get every sacred site, you're going to have a bad time. Only has 2 on gold, doesn't need any more on gold. And what's nice is the gold that he gets from the sacred sites, usually you're using things like, oh, I need wheelbarrow, oh, I need blacksmith upgrades, and all that kind of stuff. That's why Delhi synergizes so well, is because the gold that they get, they don't really need. So you could use a market, or, let's see if he even has a market. I don't even think he does. Maybe just his macro is that good, but ends up going up with Compounded Defender, which is the appropriate Castle Age landmark. I see a lot of Compounded Defender as this fight comes up. Horseman going to be able to get a surround on these longbowmen. They just bypass the men-at-arms entirely. Men-at-arms finally getting that ranged armor upgrade. Might be a little too late, though, as there's only 4 of them. As we have an army of scholars coming in. Nothing the English player can do. No way they can produce units as quickly, or save their units in terms of healing. And Chrysaor taps out. He knows that the end of the game was near because of that. Cascade Fury said it best in chat. Clean. I mean, like, I was looking at that game and watching him get sacred sites and micro his 4 HP horsemen, and I'm like, I'm getting chills. It was great. Take a look at villager count here. Obviously, Beasty starting to get into his base going south. So he's able to get off, pick off a couple villagers. Gold differential is fantastic. And you got to think all of this gold is essentially free gold, because he doesn't need to use it on upgrades and all of that kind of stuff. Just resources. Fantastic. Did a good job with his Dark Age transitioning to Feudal Age. I think me on ladder, I lost 2 or 3 different times by Vanguard Men-at-Arms as English, even though I know it's a good matchup. So thanks to Beastyqt, because you taught me how to do it by watching that game, so appreciate it. And that was game 2 after the Mongol Mirror game 1, so Beasty does take that series.
We want to thank our MetaPlace website subscribers. Your contribution helps us keep the project sustainable. As we reach higher subscription goals, you are helping us cover more and more behind-the-scenes costs, such as video editing. Check out our subscription page using the link in the description, and remember to collect your perks. We will see you the next time.